Have you ever looked into her eyes and felt something you couldn't name? A pull so magnetic it made you forget every lesson you ever learned about self-preservation. A softness that whispered promises your logic knew better than to believe. A gaze that made you lower your guard, your standards, your sword. Brother, this is not romance. This is strategy. And the man who mistakes one for the other will spend his life wondering why he keeps losing battles he didn't even know he was fighting. There's a book they tried to bury. A text so dangerous, the church banned it for centuries. Not because Machiavelli was wrong about power, but because he was too right. And hidden between his lessons on princes and politics, he revealed truths about women, about desire, about the nature of fortune herself. That society has spent 500 years trying to keep from you. Because if men truly understood what Machiavelli knew, everything would change. The scripts would stop working, the manipulation would lose its power, and the man who sees clearly can never be controlled by what he used to worship blindly. Machiavelli didn't write about love, he wrote about fortune, and fortune, he said, is a woman, fickle, testing, favouring the bold and punishing the hesitant. She rewards those who understand her nature and destroys those who expect fairness from forces that operate on instinct, not principle. You were taught to seek her approval, to earn her love through goodness, through patience, through devotion. But Machiavelli knew better. He knew that what you chase with need, you lose. What you worship without strategy, you surrender to. And what you fail to understand, you will be ruled by. This is not about hating women. This is about understanding power, because power doesn't care about your intentions. It only responds to who wields it with clarity and who kneels before it with confusion. Let me be real with you. Most men today are operating from a playbook written by people who benefit from their ignorance. You were taught that relationships are about fairness, that love is earned through sacrifice, that if you just give enough, prove enough, wait enough, she'll finally see your value and choose you. But here's what they didn't tell you. Women don't fall for the man who sacrifices the most. They fall for the man who requires no convincing of his own worth. Machiavelli understood this 5 centuries ago. He watched men fall not to superior enemies but to their own illusions. He saw princes lose kingdoms not because they lacked resources, but because they lacked the stomach to see reality as it is, rather than how they wished it to be. And the same pattern destroys modern men every single day. You think the problem is that you're not good enough, not romantic enough, not attentive enough, so you double down on effort, hoping that sheer volume of devotion will somehow tip the scales in your favor. But the trap isn't that you didn't give enough. The trap is that you gave from a place of deficit instead of abundance. Women can feel that difference the moment you walk into a room. It's not something you say, it's something you radiate. When a man operates from scarcity, when his confidence depends on her validation, his happiness on her mood, his peace on her presence, she feels it like a shift in atmospheric pressure, heavy, suffocating, desperate. And desperation, no matter how beautifully packaged as devotion, kills attraction faster than any mistake you could make. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are." And this is where most men fail catastrophically. They think women respond to their truth, their character, their good heart. But she doesn't experience your inner world. She experiences your energy, your frame, your certainty, your ability to remain unmoved when she tests the foundation of your reality. And she will test it, not with malice, but with the same instinct a general tests a fortress before committing his forces. She needs to know if what you project is structure or illusion, if your confidence is real or performance, if the man who stands before her can withstand pressure or will collapse the moment she applies it. So she withdraws affection to see if you panic. She creates conflict to see if you lose composure. She pulls away to see if you chase. And every single time you react with desperation, every time you explain, justify, beg for understanding, you fail the test. Not because you're weak, but because you revealed that your power was conditional, that it depended on her cooperation rather than your internal foundation. Machiavelli knew that it is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. But modern men, misunderstand this completely. They think it means being cruel or dominating. It doesn't. It means being the kind of man whose respect matters more than his affection. The kind of man a woman knows she could lose if she doesn't treat him with the value he quietly demands, through his standards, not his words. You don't scare her with threats. You command respect by being the man who could walk away and still be whole. That's the energy she can't resist. Not the man who needs her, the man who chooses her from a position of completeness, not lack. But there's another reason, a deeper one, that most men miss entirely because it requires facing something dark about desire itself. Machiavelli personified fortune as a woman for a reason. Because just like fortune, women are not governed by logic or fairness. They're governed by forces deeper than reason, survival, selection, instinct. They respond to what feels strong, what appears certain, what demonstrates the ability to lead. Your kindness doesn't seduce her, your mission does. Your words don't move her, your presence does. Your devotion doesn't secure her loyalty, your standards do. You are the good guy. You listened when she needed to vent, you cancelled plans to be available, you prioritized her needs above your own vision. You thought being understanding was the path to her heart. And for a while, maybe she appreciated it. Maybe she said you were different from other men. Maybe she told you that you made her feel safe. But safety without tension is just comfort. And comfort, given enough time, becomes boredom. Then resentment. Then the quiet search for something that makes her feel alive again. What you didn't realize is that women need polarity to feel desire. They need the electric charge that comes from masculine direction meeting feminine flow. They need to feel your gravitational pull, the sense that you're moving through life with purpose so strong that being part of your world is a privilege, not a given. But when you abandoned your mission to become her emotional support system, when you stopped leading your own life and started managing hers, you killed that polarity. You became her therapist, her best friend, her emotional janitor. And none of those roles inspire the kind of desire that makes a woman stay loyal when options appear. Here's what men learn too late. A woman can love you, appreciate you, even depend on you, and still lose attraction to you. Because attraction isn't a logical decision. It's a visceral response. It's felt in the body, not decided in the mind. And the moment she stops feeling that masculine pull, the moment your presence becomes predictable, accommodating, need-based, her body stops responding to you the way it once did. She doesn't choose this consciously. It just happens. Like a compass needle pointing north, her attraction recalibrates toward whatever energy feels most centered, most certain, most unmoved by her emotional weather. And if that's not you anymore, she'll start to drift. Machiavelli wrote in The Prince that men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, meaning people respond to what they see, not what you intend. They respond to your image, your frame, your demonstrated reality, not your explanations, not your promises, not your potential. She watches how you move through the world, how you respond when challenged, how you hold your boundaries when tested, whether you remain calm when she creates chaos, whether you stay on your path when she tries to pull you off course. That's what she's measuring. Not whether you love her, she already knows you do, but whether you love yourself more, whether your mission matters more than her approval, whether you would choose your integrity over her affection, if forced to make that choice. And if the answer is no, if she senses that you would betray your own standards to keep her comfortable, she loses respect. Not because she's cruel, but because respect is earned through self-possession, not self-abandonment. Machiavelli understood that power belongs to the man who cannot be deceived, especially by what he loves. That's the beginning of sovereignty. That's where freedom starts. You were not born to orbit her, you were born to govern yourself. And here's the cruelest part, the layer that shatters men when they finally see it. Machiavelli wrote that fortune is the arbiter of half our actions, but she still leaves us to direct the other half. In other words, you can't control her nature, but you can control your response to it. Most men spend their entire lives trying to change her, trying to make her more logical, more consistent, more fair, trying to convince her that their devotion should be enough, that their sacrifice should guarantee loyalty. But you can't argue with nature. You can't logic someone into desire. You can't negotiate attraction through reason. She operates on a frequency that responds to strength, certainty, and the willingness to walk away when standards aren't met. And until you accept that, you'll keep losing to men who understand what you refuse to see. You remember the friend who bent himself into shapes trying to keep his girlfriend happy, who gave up his hobbies, his friends, his entire identity to become what he thought she wanted, only to watch her leave him for someone who barely called back. You've seen the colleague who apologized for things he never did, who tolerated disrespect because he feared being alone more than he valued his peace, who stayed long after love died because starting over felt more terrifying than enduring quiet contempt. You know the brother who built his entire life around making her happy, who thought that if he just gave more, sacrificed more, proved more, she would finally see his value, only to discover she'd been emotionally checked out for months, maybe years, rewriting their entire history to justify what her heart had already decided. And she still left, not because he wasn't good enough, but because he stopped being himself, because he made her the center of his universe, and the moment he did, she began drifting toward the edge of it. Machiavelli knew that where the willingness is great, the difficulties cannot be great. But he was talking about a leader's willingness to do what's necessary, not a man's willingness to abandon himself for approval. When you make yourself completely available, completely malleable, completely dependent on her happiness for your own, you don't become more valuable. You become too easy to have. And what's too easy to have eventually becomes too easy to lose. Human nature doesn't value what costs nothing. It values what must be earned, what requires effort to attain, what can be lost if not treated with care. And when you gave away your standards, your boundaries, your self-respect just to keep her, you taught her that you have no price, that your loyalty is free, that your presence is guaranteed regardless of how she treats you. She didn't respect that. She couldn't. Because even she is looking for a man who values himself enough to walk away from what doesn't serve him, rather than cling to what's destroying him. Let's go deeper, to the layer most men never reach because it requires facing something uncomfortable about female nature itself. Machiavelli wrote that the lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. In other words, strength alone isn't enough. You need strategy. You need awareness. You need to understand the game being played, not just your ability to endure it. Most men approach relationships like lions. All strength, all effort, all brute force devotion. They think power is enough. That being a good man, working hard, providing, protecting, that this should be sufficient to secure loyalty. But they don't see the traps. They don't recognize the tests. They don't understand that women operate from a completely different strategic framework than men do. Men are loyal to who a woman was. Women are loyal to who they feel they're becoming. That's the fracture point. That's where everything breaks. You're building your life around the woman you met, the one who said you were her soulmate, the one who cried in your arms and told you she'd never felt safer, the one who made plans about the future with certainty in her voice. But she's already moving toward a different version of herself, a version that may not include you. And her brain, to avoid the cognitive dissonance of being the villain who abandoned a good man, will begin retroactively editing your entire relationship to justify what's coming, the moments where she said you were everything she ever wanted. In her revised memory, she was just caught up in emotion, convincing herself of something that wasn't real. The nights where she clung to you, where she made you promise you'd never leave. She was insecure, desperate, not thinking clearly. The future you planned together? She never actually wanted that. She was just going along with your vision. This is what destroys men after the breakup. It's not just that she left, it's that she left and genuinely convinced herself that what you had was never real to begin with. She'll tell friends, I never really loved him the way I should have. She'll say, looking back, I was settling. She'll claim, the red flags were always there, I just ignored them. And the most devastating part, she actually believes it. Psychology calls this cognitive dissonance reduction. When her actions, leaving you, conflict with her self-image as a good person, her brain automatically rewrites the narrative to eliminate guilt. She can't be the villain who abandoned a loving relationship. So unconsciously you stop being worthy, and the relationship stops being loving. In her reconstructed memory, you were always inadequate. She was always unhappy. And leaving was always inevitable. That's why she can walk away with such ease while you're still bleeding. That's why she can be in someone else's arms 2 weeks later, while you're replaying every conversation, trying to understand what went wrong. She's not lying to hurt you. She's lying to protect herself. Her brain has already moved on, already rewritten the story, already cast you as a chapter she's relieved to close rather than a love she lost. Machiavelli would recognize this instantly. It's the same mechanism that allows people to justify any action after the fact. The same rewriting of history that lets conquerors sleep soundly and deposed leaders die confused. You can't argue with revised history. You can't logic someone out of a story they've emotionally committed to believing. The only way forward is accepting a brutal truth. The woman who leaves isn't the woman you fell in love with. That woman disappeared months ago. What's walking away now is just the body catching up to where the heart relocated long before you even noticed. So where does this leave you? Machiavelli's answer would be simple. Master the game or be mastered by it. You cannot change her nature. You cannot make desire logical or attraction fair. You cannot force someone to value what they've decided to discard. But you can change yourself. You can become the kind of man who understands the patterns, sees the tests, and refuses to play from a position of weakness. The saddest part is how invisible this process is to the man living through it. He notices small things. She's less affectionate. Sex becomes routine, then infrequent, then something she's too tired for. Conversations that used to flow now feel like interviews, and he responds the only way he knows how, by trying harder. More romantic gestures, more quality time, more conversations about what's wrong, more reassurance that he's here, he cares, he's not going anywhere. But what he's actually doing is confirming her unconscious suspicion that he needs this relationship more than she does. And that neediness, no matter how beautifully packaged as devotion, is the death of desire. When a relationship becomes the primary source of a man's validation, purpose, and emotional stability, he unconsciously shifts into a state of constant anxiety. He begins monitoring her mood like a weather system. He adjusts his behavior based on her emotional temperature. He walks on eggshells, trying not to upset the delicate balance, and she feels all of it. She feels his anxiety masquerading as attentiveness. She feels his fear masquerading as love. She feels his need masquerading as devotion. And the more she feels it, the less she respects him. A woman respects a man who has something more important than her, a mission, a purpose, a vision so compelling that she has to earn her place in his life rather than becoming the center of it. When you stop building your life and start managing hers, you become less interesting, less attractive, less necessary. You become the man she settles for instead of the man she chases. And once you become that man, the relationship is already over. It just hasn't been officially pronounced dead yet. Here's the twist. The part that changes everything once you finally see it. Machiavelli wrote that power does not come from seeking it, but from being the kind of man who doesn't need it from anyone else. That's the paradox that unlocks everything. The moment you stop seeking her approval and start building a life so complete that her presence enhances it, but her absence doesn't destroy it, everything shifts. You stop orbiting around her emotional world. You stop measuring your worth by how much she needs you. You stop chasing validation, reassurance, reciprocation. And something strange happens. She starts noticing. Not because you're playing games, not because you're withholding love, but because you've finally stopped betraying yourself to keep someone else comfortable. Women don't fall for men. They align with them. They mirror strength, not sympathy. They follow rhythm, not words. They seek the fire that endures, not the flame that dances for their amusement. Machiavelli would never have begged for loyalty. He would have simply become the man to whom loyalty is the natural response, because he understood the hierarchy of energies. What is grounded governs what is fluid. You, man, are not meant to chase water with empty hands. You are meant to build a channel and let it flow. The world today will tell you to submit to her emotions, to soothe, to please, to adapt. And in doing so, it tells you to betray the one law written into your bones. Do not bend unless bending is your will. Because once you begin to fold to earn her favor, you will fold again and again until you are no longer a man, but a memory. There is no intimacy without integrity. There is no love without self-respect. There is no attraction without the quiet certainty that you would rather walk alone than compromise who you are for company. Do you want to know the kind of man a woman cannot leave? It's not the richest, not the most handsome, not the most romantic. It's the man who could walk away and still be whole, the moment she senses you cannot walk, that your soul is chained to her presence, that your fire dims when her light is gone. She knows you are no longer fire at all. You are a candle, flickering, fragile, ultimately forgettable. But the man who holds his line, who smiles through rejection, who continues his mission regardless of her mood or her movements, that man becomes a gravity she cannot help but feel, even when she runs. What men learn too late but never forget is this: the version of you that needs her will never be the version she respects. The version that chases her will never be the version she desires. The version that sacrifices his identity to keep her happy will never be the version she stays loyal to. But the version of you that remains whole, that stays rooted in purpose, that refuses to collapse under emotional pressure, that's the version she'll think about years later. That's the version she'll compare every other man to. That's the version she'll regret losing. Machiavelli taught that in his final moments, a man reveals what he truly values. He chose death over dishonor, silence over compromise, truth over comfort. And what is that truth for you today? It's this: you must not fear her nature, nor seek to rewrite it. You must master your own. The woman is not the battlefield. She is the mirror, the test, the tension that reveals your fault lines. If you embrace that, she becomes the forge that makes you stronger. If you resist it, she becomes the flame that burns you. Do not ask her to be simpler. Become wiser. Do not ask her to stay. Become the man she doesn't want to leave. Do not ask her to soothe your wounds. Heal yourself so deeply that your scars become scripture. Let them call you cold. Let them call you distant. Let them say you are too detached, too logical, too firm. These are the cries of a world that fears men who cannot be bent. Because such men do not obey trends. They do not fall to temptation. They do not sell their soul for a kiss. They stand. Not because standing is easy, but because falling is no longer an option. In that stance, you become a beacon. Other men will see you. They will remember who they were meant to be, and that ripple will reach farther than you will ever know. So to you, the man listening in silence, in reflection, in that ancient ache that only the wise feel, I say this: rise. Rise without rage. Rise without apology. Rise without fear. Not against her, but for yourself. Do not run from her tests. Do not resent her power. Simply meet it with something greater, your own unshakable being. And when you do, the game ends. The illusions die. The soul ascends. This message is not for the masses. It is for the few, the seekers, the builders, the kings without crowns who have not forgotten the fire. If you have felt the weight of these words, share them. Let them echo. Like, subscribe, and spread this truth, not to support me, but to support the awakening. Because men everywhere are starving for clarity in an age of deception, and if you've been fed, feed others. Let this be the start of your return, not to dominance, but to discernment. The world does not need louder men, it needs clearer ones. Be that man, and walk forward unshaken.